Alright, welcome everybody. This is going to be a tutorial on how to make decent and mostly functional water. As in, make the surface look good, translucent. And you got a splash effect, an underwater effect, and the underwater sound, and you can swim up and down. So we're going to get rid of this. Actually, everything on there. We're going to create a new project. I'm going to use the first person, but it should work just as well for the third. Called Water Tutorial. Because I'm so creative. Make sure you have the starter context. We're going to use texture from it. Alright, here we are. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a new level. Use the default so we can get a sky and whatnot. We don't need this. And just so we don't have to deal with the lighting, I'm going to add a skylight. So we're going to make a new landscape. This is a default grass. There is. I click this, use this as default. I'm going to create. And just to get rid of these lines, I'll go ahead and build the lighting right now. Alright, no light makes important is fine. We're not going to worry about that. So we're just going to make a small lake. If you don't know the controls, just hold shift and it'll go down. Don't shift, it'll raise up. So this looks kind of lakey. So it's time to create our water. So I'm going to use the one of the starter contents from the floor right here. It's our base. Right click it, go to asset actions, create blueprint using this asset. We're going to call it water BP. I usually have BP to the end of all the blueprints because that's just good convention, and it's going to create a folder for us, which is nice. So here it is. First thing we need to do, we need a water texture. Now the standard assets, or whatever, starter content thing in Unity, starter content comes with water, but it's not very good. But there's also some nice free water. We're going to go to the Learn tab, and we're going to start up here and scroll down. There's something called Water Planes. Click it, download it if you haven't. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the project. And there you go. So now we're going to go back to our water blueprint. Well, first we're going to find the texture. It's going to be translucent. M_translucent water. This is the one we want. I'm going to click that. And under the static mesh component of the blueprint, I'm going to find the material. And we're just going to add that. So now we have decent looking water. So save it. And we can go ahead and add our blueprint to our map here. We'll stretch this out to fill in our lake. Some tearing, but I'm pretty sure it's just a lighting issue, so we're gonna go ahead and, yeah, now it's gone. I don't know. Unreal. So where did our player start though? We don't want in the middle of the lake, do we? We're gonna play. Just get some lighting lines, but that's not really what it's about. So you notice you can walk in it. So we gotta change the collision. Go back in the blueprint under the static mesh. Under here collision. We're gonna go to collision presets. We're gonna go overlap all dynamic. You could do no collision, everything passed through, but we're gonna need to make it overlap, or just overlap all. We're gonna need to make that. We're gonna need to use that later. So compile and save. Now you can go under it. And those two things. One, you can't see it above you. Two, it doesn't look like you're underwater. To fix this, we're gonna go to our blueprint. You notice, oh look, you can't see it. So we're gonna open up our texture. You can just go to the materials on it and double click it. It'll open up the texture editor. For some reason, it's the problem with the opacity. If you look at the opacity, it goes here. It's got all this stuff, but we don't need any of it. So we're gonna drag it out. Create a new scalar scalar parameter. I usually typically like to use 0.8 or 0.9, or you will use 0.9. This example. I'm gonna save it. Now you can see we can actually see underneath. I don't know why it does it, but it does. You should be able to see underneath it. Yep, you got the water above you. Still doesn't look very underwater. So we'll do that now. Well, first, I'm actually going to make this smaller. You don't want to be caught in the middle. Change the Z value so it's really thin. You want to be in the middle of the static mesh. We'll also change the one over here to match it. I'm going to build the lighting because this is kind of annoying me. The lighting can take some time to build in Unreal depending on how big your levels are. Especially if you're using static lighting. Alright, no light may support this volume. Now I'll just add it in so we doesn't annoy us the rest of the time. There you go. Typically you use one of these where the light's going to be more important to be higher quality. But we're not going to worry about that. Alright, so to make it look like underwater, we're going to use a label of the volumes, sidebar, and use a post-process volume. Now you can try your hand scaling it like this. It's perfectly fine. Although I don't know why they make the static meshes and the volume scale differently, but you should notice it comes really both push out from the center where it doesn't with the meshes, but that's not epic. But a little bit easier, go to geometry editing. You can see where it is, but if you go to under perspective, go to top, and you could edit the vertices individually like this. This isn't that great for up and down if you want to make it, if you want to match it, but hold on, if you use like the front or the left right, it doesn't really matter. You can see the depth of the static meshes and whatnot, so you know where to put your stuff. See about right there, seems about fine for our post-process volume. Alright, so I'm going to save the project. Probably should have done that a little sooner. Save often, because this editor does crash from time to time. We're going to make a... No, I'll just save it right here, doesn't matter. Alright. Going back to our perspective view. And so the main thing with this, with the post-process volume, I mean, you can make it look... There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the blur, but I think the main thing people really want is... Where's it at? Oh, there it is. It's the color, the scene color. Kind of want something bluish. You know, we'll add a little bit of blue. Just why not? Not motion blur, but where is it? I don't know where they had it. Yeah, some blue, it doesn't really matter. Alright, regardless, just mess around and see what you like. We play it now. Okay, my volume's a little higher. We see the color changed. Move that volume down a little bit. Oh yeah, it's definitely way too high. Yeah, it's not even centered. I don't know. I did a terrible job with this. Okay, this looks better. Alright. So now you pretty much just walk on the water. So we'll add a volume to where the player can swim. So what you're gonna need for that, make sure you go back into place. If you're in geometry then you won't get all that stuff. You're gonna want a physics volume. Make our post-processing volume go all the way out. Just make it easier in the physics volume, we'll just match it to whatever we have for the post-processing. Gonna go back into the geometry editing again. Alright, I'm gonna make sure it's the right depth. Not even close. And it's too high up. That should be good. So right off the bat, we're going to want to change a couple things. The physics volume. Make sure, going to where it says character movement, you want to make sure it's a water volume, fluid friction, 0.3, 0.35. Typically what people use. So now your player, so you'll just kind of sink in. You don't really have any control of it yet. So for that, we're going to go to the character. Here's under first person BP. I'm assuming third person is the same thing. I'll just say third person BP. First person character. And just future aspects, we're going to keep it the same, but you can change the buoyancy of your player right now when you go to movement swimming. I will change the brake deceleration for a little bit, make it give you more of a floaty feel. But I'm going to keep buoyancy at 1 for the time being. And before we do anything here, we're going to go to edit project settings. So we're going to have keys to swim up and down. You're going to go to input, axis mapping. We add another one and we'll just call it swim up. First key, we'll just use, I don't know, I'll use C to go up. Scale, keep it 1. You want to add another one, go down, and we'll just use V. Make sure you change V to -1. Okay. Now back in the event graph of the first person character, you're going to want to add an input axis. Well, I guess the easiest way. Just go to input, axis events, and swim up should be there. It should be whatever you call it. This is not like a default thing. So now we're going to expand that out. I'm sorry. And we're going to look for add movement input. Here it is. And the axis value is going to be the scale value, and you're going to want to make sure to change Z to 1. A lot of people forget to do this and realize why they're not going up or down. And this should work. So then, I can hit V to go down, C to go up. You can change the water's friction stuff to what you like. Yeah. Alright, but now we don't have any sound. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add an underwater sound. I already have some sound set up from freesound.org. So I'm going to create a folder called sounds. We're going to go ahead and import that. Okay, it's just my desktop. So I'm going to import both of them. This one's the splash and one's the underwater one. Alright, so you're going to want to make a sound. Go into your right click, sound class. I'm going to call this underwater class, just to make, because that, just in case you don't realize what the symbols all mean, you know this is the sound class. I'm going to open this up. And the really important thing is, the only reason we really need this is we need to apply ambient volumes. And I'll explain it in a little bit. So, save this, got that. Then we're going to add a sound cue. Call it underwater cue. Oops, I did terrible at spelling that. And we're going to add our sound in through here. If I remember which one it is. You know what, an easier way to do this? Dragging our underwater ambient sound. We're going to want it to loop, so the output, we need a looping. And there you are, and then you have to make sure your output, when you go to the where sound classes under sound right here, you want to change it to your underwater class. We're going to save this. So then we're going to use a audio volume, or sound volume, whatever it's called. Where's it at? Audio volume. Alright, I was right the first time. And again, you can just pretty much match it with what the other ones you have. Save this. So then under your audio volume, you're going to want to drag your underwater cue. I guess you're dragging the level first. You're going to want to make sure that's underneath the volume. Where'd it go? Just keep things clean. We're going to, we'll just rename this to underwater volume, in case you're going to need multiple audio volumes. I don't think it matters where the cue is, but the important thing is when you go to the volume, the ambient zone, this is why we needed to allow the ambient, all the ambient stuff, because these exterior volume, this is the desired volume sound, players inside, so how much of the outside world you want to hear, we don't have any sounds on the outside, it doesn't matter. But exterior, the interior volume is how much the outside can hear what's inside the volume. We don't want people hearing underwater sounds when they're underwater, so you get rid of that. And I think that's it. Underwater sounds. And you can clearly hear they sound like you're underwater. So last thing we're going to do, we're going to add a splash sound when you hit the water and when you come out of the water. So first things first, we're going to go back to our water blueprint, which I still have open. Under the static mesh, make sure, scroll down under things under collision, make sure you have generate overlap events. We're going to go back to the first person character and do the same thing. Well, I'm going to use the There's a couple components on here we use. I'm going to use the capsule component. And we're going to generate overlap events is checked. So I'll do this on my first person character. No, I'll do it on the water, since I already have so much stuff in there. For the event graph, notice there's nothing here. What we're gonna do is add on component begin overlap. What this does is it's going to detect when anything overlaps it, as in the player. We don't want it to block it or use a hit, so we're using an overlap. Alright. So once we do that, we're going to drag this out. Oops. And we're going to want to play a sound. So we're going to use play sound at location. That way you know the splash is right where the location is. And how we're going to do that, under sweep result, we're going to drag that out. Break hit result. This will give you the results of the hit that occurs between the player and the water. And you're going to go under location, drag that to location. And we need the sound, so I already imported it, so we're going to scroll down. Water splash, it's not a good splash, but it works. Obviously you can get better. Yeah, you can get better sounds. I'm going to use compile, save, and we'll see if this works. It does. And then so when you come back up, there will also be a sound. And that concludes the tutorial for right now. I hope you guys learned something.